Pluto stations retrograde today until October 8th. And this happens annually. Pluto goes retrograde for about 5 months every year. So this isn't a transit that we like. It's not like Mercury retrograde where we like really feel it really intensely because it's such a slow moving planet and it's more subtle. However, I think a lot of us have been through huge transformational processes with Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn is breaking down structures and building new ones, in our government, in the patriarchy, and in our own lives. And over the next 5 months, I see us really reviewing those structures and what we're building. It's like an inspector coming into to a newly built building and being like, okay, is everything solid here? Like, what needs to be fixed? What needs to be changed? Is the foundation solid for us to keep moving along this project,
That's a really good analogy. I've never done renovations before, but I can imagine that when you're like near the end of renovation time, or like, I guess even at whatever time you're doing this, it's like having to go back over things and look and say, like, is this solid here? Or like, what has to go? Or, and sometimes things come up where you have to spend more money, like these type of things to keep it solid. That's a really good analogy. And it tests people who go through those.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just the second guessing of like, I don't know, not even with renovations, but any project. Have you ever been close to the end and like, wait, did I make all the right decisions? Should I have done it differently from the beginning? And you start to see the final product coming together and you're like, oh, like, did I really want it to go this way? So I could see a lot of second guessing our own personal transformation and the collective transformation. Because when we're talking about Pluto, it's alchemy, it's death and rebirth, it's killing things to bring new energy in, And I think we keep referring to the end of a project because here, I'll pull up the chart. Yeah. We have Pluto is at 28 degrees in Capricorn right now. And so, if you have been looking at the chart and thinking like, okay, Pluto's almost to Aquarius, we got a new energy coming in. Nope, not so fast. Pluto's going to hang out in Capricorn for longer, much longer.
Yeah, it's a long transit, right? Like, I think Pluto moved into Capricorn in like 2008 or something like that. So it stays in a sign for so long. And you can think in your own life, like, obviously, like, we were younger. Like, I don't fully remember that time in my life, but I do know that there's been a lot of transformation in that area of my chart. And so all of us have undergone some form of transformation where Capricorn is. And it's just kind of nice to look back and be like, wow, like, I have really changed and I have grown. And just give yourself that, even like as we kind of go through this retrograde period.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all about this slow transformation. So really during this retrograde too, you don't have to really work with this right now because there's so much else going on. It's like right now Pluto's at a very stationary point. When we have a retrograde begin, when a planet stations retrograde, there's often this period where it just doesn't seem like the planet's moving at all because the planet doesn't stop and move backwards, right? It's all about our perspective here on Earth. So it's kind of like that pendulum, that moment of it appearing to be still. But with Pluto, since it moves so slowly, it's been at 28 degrees forever, like seriously for so long, and it's just going to stay there. So it's not going to be this major shift that you feel. But I will say, especially with this happening right before the solar eclipse, Pluto can also uncover deep truths and shadows. And with it going retrograde, I could really see like secrets being revealed during this eclipse. There's a lot of, as we'll talk about in a moment, surprise energy, like disruptive energy around this eclipse. And so I could see like deep motivations or truths kind of surfacing with Pluto stationing retrograde. And even if that doesn't happen for you right now or this weekend, just know over the next 5 months, you could see someone's true motivations. It's kind of like going back down into our own subconscious and reviewing like, what are our true motivations? What are other people's true motivations? So it can be very deeply transformative in that way, not necessarily like I look different or my job is different or whatever. It's more about like the structure of our psyche of ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Like, I think a lot of us have done a lot of shadow work even in the last 2 years, right? And so I just am like, just give yourself grace. Like, just give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and no, too, like, I mean, we will talk about this when the time comes at the end of the year beyond that, but Pluto and Aquarius, I really feel like in the coming years is going to be bringing a transformation of our technology, of how we relate to each other. Like we're already feeling that with Saturn in Aquarius, but I think Pluto is really going to be extremely transformative when it comes to technology. So it's like right now, Pluto and Capricorn is really setting the stage for that and building the foundation for that and creating the structures so that we can relate in a new and different way with Pluto and Aquarius. And so if
Mm.
it feels like a painstaking process, this is a great moment to trust the universe and know like whatever's being rearranged is really here to allow us to build a stronger foundation so we can kind of get out of our heads and expand in new ways with Pluto in Aquarius. So, I mean, Pluto's not
Mm.
going into Aquarius for, I don't know, at some point, I think in 2023, maybe 2024. Who knows?
Yeah,
I haven't even looked that far ahead.
it's got a while. I think it does peak in 2023. I'm not sure. I can't remember the exact dates, but yeah, it's also like something that keeps coming through for me is like finding your own personal power, right? And not
Mm.
power in like a vindictive or the shadow side of that, but it's like what does that feel like for you? Like what is your own personal power? What does it feel like to stand in your personal power and um emulate that and just trust yourself, because that's a big thing with Pluto too, right? It's like, okay, there can be fears that come up that are associated with that because it's pretty deep, right? So if you can really trust yourself and like stand in your own power, I feel like that's part of Pluto as well. He's like, come on.
Yeah, and Pluto retrograde could make you review your fears, face your fears as
Mhm.
well. And again, this is like slow, steady process. This isn't going to be something that just like blows up in your face all of a sudden. It's like little by little, we're going in there, we're excavating, we're scraping away at our own shadows. It's like a months long process. I feel like we're like archaeologists. Like we have to be
Yeah.
really delicate, we have to brush off the bones, make sure we're not damaging anything, but
Mhm.
we need to get to the root of it. We need to discover really what's going on. And that can also, with Pluto and Capricorn, I feel like it's a lot about history, ancestry as well. So it's like looking at
Yes.
our own subconscious patterning, what's ours, what was passed down to us from our ancestors, what cycles and habits are we trying to
Mm.
break, maybe even family secrets that we've been harboring or we didn't even know about that have been subconsciously affecting us. There's so
That's
much we can
so
talk
good.
about.
That's so good. I literally woke up this morning and I was like, I always sit and I'm like, okay, like what is the message here? And with the eclipses, that's what I was kind of thinking. But sometimes I get songs through, which I feel like you're pretty similar. And I was like, I didn't hear a song, but I wrote down like it's time to break the chains. And
Mm,
I'm like, okay, that's super fascinating given what you just said and talking about this. And also knowing that I'm sure we'll get to this, but millennials with our Pluto and Scorpio, you know, breaking the chains. And I literally pictured myself like having, and anyone can do this. This is like a cutting cord ceremony, putting like a cord around my stomach or like a rope and cutting it and like allowing myself to be free. So I'm going to do that. Sounds kind of out there, but anyone can. Yeah.
yeah, cord cutting is so powerful and a great um, way to use Pluto retrograde. Again, this is something like if you're finding this now and you're like, okay, but wait, we're talking about the eclipse, we're talking about Mercury, all the things, like just keep this in the back of your mind, file it away for when you need it, because you're probably not
Mm.
going to work with this energy right now. But as things are coming up for you over the next few months, just remember, okay, Pluto's retrograde. What's the transformation I'm going through? What am I releasing so I can allow new energy in? What cycles am I breaking? What foundations are
Mm.
crumbling? Like, again, I really feel like ancestry comes into this. Like, Capricorn's all about structure and foundations. Like, we are all kind of indoctrinated into a familial structure and belief system and understanding based on who we came into the world and were raised by. And a lot of people right now, especially, are kind of waking up to, okay, I have a choice. I don't have to believe those things. I don't have to subscribe to those things anymore. But if I do kind of cut off that subscription, I have to replace it with something else. So this is a really good time to review your own beliefs.
That's so good. I love that.
Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.